Hey, thanks very much. And, thanks to the Register. What you're doing on this Soapbox project is really terrific, and is in the sort of the best interest, the best form of campaigns. And the news coverage that follows is pretty significant and very important. So hats off to the Register. And hats off and thanks to the people that organized this state fair. This is just absolutely incredible. All the people, all the activities, all the food, all the animals, everything here just comes together in just such a great way that's so enjoyable. Had my grandkids out here on Friday morning, and they just had a great time. They went to the rides, they saw some of the animals, and eventually they got to our booth in the Varied Industry building. And at that point, it sort of run out of steam, but that was understandable. Hey, it's great for me to be here and have feel really blessed that I've had a chance to be Attorney General quite a few times. It's an absolutely wonderful office. And what I want to start with is going back in history a ways, when we first got elected. When I first got elected, I was the only Democrat in statewide office. No Mike Fitzgerald, no Rob Sand. The Republicans had just taken over the House and the Senate, and we thought, we got to run for re-election. How can we possibly survive in these circumstances? Then we made one of the best, perhaps the best decision we ever made, certainly of this type, and we concluded that the best policy was the best politics. The best service was the best politics. So that we were going to try and do as good a job as we could and hope that the politics worked out. And we decided to do that around sort of two principles. One was using the law to serve Iowans, ordinary Iowans. And the second principle was to do what we thought was right, particularly in interpreting the law, whether it was popular or not at the time, to do the right thing. And, it's worked many times, that strategy. And part of the reason is that voters over the long term figure out public officials pretty well. And basically they ask two questions, and those are the two questions. One is he or she on my side? And the other is, does he or she do what they believe in? So that's been our strategy, and let me talk a little bit more about it. I just feel very lucky to be Attorney General, largely because we get to use the law to serve the interest of ordinary Iowans. And there are four areas that I'm going to talk about today. One is in consumer protection. Our Consumer Protection Division is generally thought to be the best or one of the best in the country. We're the leader on so many issues. Have talented, hard-working people. Some of the things that we've done is working to protect elderly Iowans in a particular fashion. There are two major scams that are directed against all the other 49 states, but not Iowa. One is in sweepstakes, and the other is in add-ons. We just recently, yesterday, joined the Secretary of Education in getting significant recovery for people that were in the ITT school. 900 Iowans, their whole debt to the federal government canceled. That's the kind of thing we do. We're all consumers every day. So there's just so much that is available and so much that we try and do. And like I say, being one of the best or the best in the country. Second thing is that we work to serve Iowans and protect Iowans against violent crimes. Our area prosecution unit does some of the most difficult violent crimes throughout the state. Murder, sexual abuse, kidnapping, and other cases. And then, of course, our criminal appeals division protects all those guilty verdicts and guilty pleas before the Supreme Court and Court of Appeals. 1,200, 1,300 cases a year. And during the course of this, we've developed a great relationship with law enforcement. We work a lot with them on these cases, Department of Public Safety, but local law enforcement as well. And it's a relationship of respect, trust, and common good. We really see the need to protect Iowans. Another area I want to touch on briefly is opioids. We've worked 5 or 6 years now on this terrible epidemic of opioid abuse. Never should have happened. Happened because Purdue Pharma and others totally misrepresented opioids and changed the medical practice in our countries unbelievably. So we've sued them, we've negotiated with them. We're in the process of getting, over the long term, $200 to $250 million to help victims, to make Iowa better. Two areas we think should be concentrated on. One is on prevention, and that's on the prescription by the doctors. Second is on drug treatment. The drug treatment can really change people's lives, and we've seen that and want to see more of that. And we think about, too, not only the people that are addicted are sick, but their families, just an enormous effect on families. So that is something, again, where we're using the law to serve ordinary Iowans. And then finally, the fourth category is farmers. We've always thought when we have something for consumer protection, we should do the same thing for farmers, and that's roughly what we've done. And currently what we're working hard on is the terrible pricing of fertilizer. Fertilizer price in the current year has gone up anywhere from 200 to 400%, just way beyond what was expected. So what we've done, we've got some people at Iowa State to do a comprehensive study. We're working with the corn growers and the Iowa soybean folks, and we've got that information. We've contacted the companies for their sort of explanation of why this had happened, and they've come back in a reasonable way. That there are enormous reasons worldwide: the increase in natural gas, the supply disruptions, the situation in Ukraine and Russia. So there are reasons that the price goes up. But my question is, that much, how do we explain that much? And we continue to look at that. We're going to do some work with some economists at Texas A&M about a parallel pricing kind of scenario. But we're working at that, and most of all, we're communicating the message: somebody is watching. We're working with the Department of Ag, with Tom Vilsack. We're working with other state attorney generals, and we're working with the farm groups. I think that our office probably does more in the farm area than any of the 50 attorney generals, and that's appropriate because we're Iowa. On the question of doing things that we believe in, we constantly do that in interpreting the law. What the law is and what the basic legal principles are our guidepost, not what particular people or large groups of people want us to do despite that. I think we have a reputation for doing that, and a justified one. And in other areas, we always try and do what we believe in. Now, there's a contrast between me and my opponent on both of those. On number one, consumer protection is sort of our baby. We really work hard on that. My opponent is completely different. Her passion is for this extreme anti-regulation, extreme economics that's part of the extreme interpretation of the antitrust law that has frustrated antitrust enforcement. And this extreme economic conservatism that she buys into so much has been a key ingredient in income inequality in our country, which I think has had just an enormous corrosive effect on our people and on our political system. And on calling them as you see them, she has a strong commitment to the ideology and the partisan politics of issues. That's exemplified by when she announced it was almost all she was going to sue Biden, anti-Biden. And that's essentially an ideological agenda. It's not an agenda that will affect Iowans. So there's a great contrast. I just really enjoy and am energized and satisfied by using the law to serve ordinary Iowans. I believe that I and our office do it well, do it at times very, very well. So with that in mind, I'm asking the people of Iowa to give me a chance to keep using the law to serve Iowans. Well, thank you. Thanks very much. That's the ending, but I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize some of the incredible people in the audience that have worked in our office and have been part of all those things that I talked about. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks. And most of all, thanks to the voters to giving me the opportunity to be Attorney General quite a few times. Thank you very much.